just going outside, navigating in a car, going to work, putting yourself down the street, having to go from point A to point B. It shouldn't be this frightening, and yet it is. I find it frightening to have to be nice to people all day, every day. Or on the subway. If I'm on the subway, normally I find it relatively enjoyable. I mean, some people don't like it. I happen to like it. You see people that you never have seen before. You're never going to see them again. You get a little glimpse into their, if you want to, you can go right inside and see what they're like for a moment and then, zip back out again, and you might bump up against somebody, and it could be a very, actually, interesting experience on the subway. But these days, if I let my imagination just go for a minute, this voice comes in and says, why hasn't something unutterably horrible happened down here in the subway yet? Isn't it supposed to have happened already? And then a part of me will say, oh, well, maybe it's going to be happening right now. And then I'll feel this kind of rising panic. And as I said before, this isn't normally my way of feeling. I like to be able to rise above these things. I like to get a sense of perspective about these things. And at times I do feel that I'm able to actually transcend these fears. Okay, I know the stilt's an obvious metaphor, but I really think it works. But so, meanwhile, there's this insidious thing that this whole schismism that I'm trying to tell you what it is. I don't know what it is. It could be right here.
I'm Dick Gordon. This is The Connection. Jon Lee Anderson is joining us today. Jon Lee Anderson, storytelling from Baghdad. Jon Lee, welcome to The Connection.
Thanks a lot. It's a pleasure to be here.
Jon Lee Anderson's work sets him apart from many reporters in a war zone. You're an American, right?
I am, yeah.
Must be a little bit nice to be home.
Well, it is. It's both nice and strange, and it's a bit of a culture shock to come back from a place like Iraq.
People in Baghdad, people that you worked with, the people that you met on the street, they all knew you to be an American. That wasn't a problem for you as a reporter. You didn't seem to get shut out or threatened because of your American passport.
That says more about Iraqis. I've never felt them to be necessarily anti-Western or anti-American. I never felt that kind of seething hatred that one does feel in other parts of the world. I have felt very warm towards the Iraqis. I found them to be open-minded, kind of larger-than-life people, a bit like the Americans, in fact. The most I ever got was wounded looks. If there was hostility, it was brooding and silent, but never ever even the remotest signal that someone might have attacked me, never an accusation, you're an American, your country has done this. The kind of thing, as you say, we would, as Americans, expect to see within ourselves. I think perhaps a lot of Iraqis were profoundly torn, and their sense of shame and desolation at being brought to the situation where their city was being bombed. It was almost an existential kind of tear there.
Part of it that I have difficulty trying to rationalize is if Boston or California were bombed by the Iraqis and then a bunch of Iraqi journalists showed up, the response of the people in this country would not be, welcome, let's talk about it. You as a character are front and center in stories. That's something that you choose to do quite consciously.
I mean, I felt great emotion in certain situations, and I could only describe what I saw myself in my voice to translate that feeling to Americans, my fellow Americans, telespectators of it. They watched it on live television in many cases, so they had this virtual experience. Americans could look at it at a remove, but that virtual experience is so often devoid of any emotion, the kind of sensorial detail that makes you understand what it's like to be there. The Americans began to invade the city and street fighting broke out. The war was up close. There was a sense of impending apocalypse, really. Suddenly, these Arab jihadis, these volunteer mujahideen who had been arriving from other countries, staying in our hotels, making us somewhat uneasy as to their ultimate intentions. You couldn't know what to expect from one street to the next.
The whoop of the bombs, the unknown of the bombs falling from the sky.
Bombs are somehow much greater than one's imagination. The bombs were going to fall. Fear, in its most chilling form, is removed from you. You commend yourself to destiny there.
Skip, skop, skip, skop, skip, skip,